What did we say beforehand?
We were saying we introduced ourselves and then said, and you're listening to, and this is the Slap Shack.
And this is back, and then I'll say like, and today we are having musical artist NIKI FM featured. Welcome.
Thank you.
So how did you first get into producing your own music?
Well, I just taught myself GarageBand when I was in like college, when I was like 21 maybe.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I was like playing guitar, and then I really wanted to be in a band, but it was so like difficult to organize people. So I'm like, I'm gonna do this on my own. So I actually started and I found Audacity, which was like really easy and accessible. And then eventually I found GarageBand, and that just like opened up a whole new world, because I'm like, I can program my own drums. There's a bunch of these cool MIDI synths I could use. Like, it totally was like, yeah, I could produce my own music and make all of these sounds that, that a guitar can't, I guess.
Totally.
Yeah, and it just took off from there.
Yeah, that's kind of the same as me. I started off with GarageBand, and it was just so cool to be able to have, like, I don't know how often you use like the pre-programmed drums and those kind of things. Yeah. It's like so dope to be able to use instruments that I can't actually play live, but can.
Yeah. Like when I found, like, there's just so many, especially for someone that's beginning, it's like all of the stock sounds and all the loops. You're like, this is great. Yeah.
What experience did you have with music before you started using GarageBand, like playing instruments or?
I played guitar and took lessons like in middle school, and I took piano in high school, and did the whole like ultimateguitar.com, playing your favorite songs, looking up tabs and stuff for so long. But yeah, pretty much that.
Same. That's a like template. People are like, how'd you learn? And I was like, oh, I like taught myself because I like wanted to learn this one song.
Yes.
And those songs have the same chords.
Yes.
So I looked up the song, and then I played it like excessively to like be annoying with myself. and then I knew all the chords, and then I could play literally any other song because they're all the same, just in different.
Yeah, that was kind of a game that was like wild when I was a kid, and I was like, wait, you're telling me that this Weezer song is only like 3 chords and so many other songs are made of these 3 chords? I can play all of them. Yeah.
What was like the first song that you remember learning or like feeling really confident about?
The first song that I think honestly it was Good Riddance by Green Day. My guitar teacher is like, you're gonna love this. Do you know Green Day? And I was like, yes. Oh.
Nice.
That's a good
Wait, what about y'all? Like, what was your like first song that was like, yes?
Oh, well, my first song I learned on guitar was, have you seen Grease?
Oh yeah.
People seen Grease?
I haven't seen Grease, and I'm always like reprimanded for not seeing it. I want to see it now though. I think it's come up enough times recently where I'm like, I need to see Grease.
Yeah.
They have this song in it, what's that playing on the radio? And in the song, it like tells you what the chords are. So it's
funny.
C C C C C C A minor F F F F F F D D D D7.
What? That's so cute.
Yeah, that's a good song to learn because they're telling you what to play.
And I think my mom knew the chords, and she had like, I don't know, she had this like old guitar, and like I was like, oh, what's that song? And she's like, oh, it's that song from Grease. They have the chords in the song. And I was like, oh, cool. So I could learn it. And then I don't know if my mom taught me the chords or I looked some of them up or something, but that's like the first song I would like practice all the time because I knew all the words to it. The first song I ever played on the piano on my keyboard that I like learned really well was Don't Stop Believin', and I spent maybe like like 3 hours like watching a YouTube video on how to play it, and then and I'm busted out. Like we had a piano in the middle of our common area at school.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
in high school, and I would go over there and I'd be like, I can play the piano. And everyone's like, oh my God, Jabira, you're so good.
So people loved it. People loved that you're busting out Journey.
That I could play something on the piano well. I don't know if I liked that it was Don't Stop Believin'. I also like
Don't Stop Believin'.
didn't know the main part, like the chorus, or I don't know. There was something missing from what I was doing, so I would stop at a certain point and be like, okay, I did it, but I couldn't play the whole song.
It's still impressive enough just to be able to go.
Yeah,
it's true. Yeah,
I can't really remember like the first song, but I remember the first bar chord song I learned was a song called The Sound. And I can't even, it's by Human Highway. And it's just a random song that I just really liked and showed my guitar teacher. And he was like, oh, this is a great song to learn bar chords on. And now, yeah, I still love the song. And it definitely took, bar chords are just so hard to learn at first. And once I finally like had that song down and had all the chords, I felt pretty good about that.
I love that. Yeah, Claire, you're self-taught too, right?
I took guitar lessons for like a couple years in middle school, but mostly self-taught with piano and other things.
I love that because you're an awesome guitar player.
Yeah, really, Claire.
Okay. How do you approach the songwriting process? Like, what do you start with and how do you develop, I don't know, just the sounds that you play? And it's all very cool.
I honestly I honestly learned something new that I wanted to apply to, or just like want to make sure to pay more attention to, is that I think it just sounds that like I personally resonate with. Like if I keep on listening to something over and over again, or if there's like songs that I know that I go back to over and over again, trying to think like, what is it about that I really like? And then just like trying to keep that in mind and then incorporating that into my songs. Because honestly, like my really early stuff, like not gonna lie, it's just like a bunch of stock sounds that I found, and it's like that sounds dope. But I don't think I was like as intentional as I am today about like I like this sound, I like this, and then blending them all together, because I feel like if you have a sound already that you like, you don't have to do a lot more to it. Or like I feel like me personally, I don't want to like put a bunch of plugins or like EQ it a bunch or something if I don't need to. But if like the bare thing is already cool and that I resonate with, then I'm like, all right, and this is something that I want to use. So I think just like keeping an ear out for like sounds that I resonate with, and then I keep like a playlist or a file that I like, and I return to it when I'm songwriting. And then for when it comes to like words, I'll keep like a notes in my phone all the time, or I have lots of journals.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that definitely sounds that I resonate with, I will definitely keep files and playlists of, and then revert back to them when I'm sitting down on my computer, for sure.
Do you ever do like voice like if you're walking around and like hear a cool sound on the street, do you ever record it and then incorporate it?
Yes, I have so many voice memos of just like field recordings.
Yeah.
Like, oh, because there's so many awesome sounds just like in life that are not from like audio. But yeah, there's a bunch of stuff on my phone that are just like a boat or a bird, or I low key like have, without my friends' knowledge, like recorded their conversations, but I haven't. But I feel like when I use it, I feel like I let them know. I'm just like, this is, I don't know. Yeah, I definitely have.
You could like put it in reverse so you can't tell what they're saying, but you
exactly, or like pitch it down a bunch and they're like, hey, it's them. But yeah, I definitely do you do that too?
I definitely
not the conversations, but just like
I haven't done the conversations, but I low-key really like that. I might start doing that.
Yeah, like I really, like especially in a lot of like, yeah, like you'll have like some type of spoken word in the beginning of a song or something, and I'm like, where did I get that? So yeah, and I'm just like a really sentimental person in general, so I like listening back on recorded things, and
Totally.
Especially if they're like my friends or something.
Yeah, I do a lot of mostly like birds, like if I hear a cool bird song. And I haven't incorporated it into music at all yet, but I would like to at some point.
Yeah.
Like waves or just like peaceful nature sounds, I think would be cool to use sometime.
Yeah, definitely.
Ah, so many cool sounds.
Kind of overwhelming. Like I
Yeah.
want to be able to I want to be able to make music, but I think I'm so indecisive to the point that I can't finish anything I make because I'm like, but I could put more in here. No, this is fine how it is. And it's like it's rare that I'm like, oh, this is great and I don't need to add anything else to it. I was this last band, Claire, that I recorded. We were talking about live sound and like how recording in a studio can feel kind of like sterile and the sound can like it's not always maybe I don't know preferred for some people. And I think I have a hard time thinking about like recording something in a studio or like wanting to record the music I make and then like adding things in Logic when I could just like play it on the guitar or the banjo and be like, this sounds good. I wish I had like one other thing and then that's it. And I think that's what keeps me from like making anything and like putting it out is because I'd rather just like record myself playing a song live and then just like send that out.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't completely vibe with me myself making studio music.
And why is that again? Because you feel like it would be hard to kind of just like be like, that's good.
Yeah, like I'd always want to add like more to it or be like, oh, I could try this sound instead, but it's like, oh, but I also like this one. Like really, I spend so much time even on like beats where I'm like, oh, I want this shaker. No, I want this shaker sound. But they're both like relatively the same. And then I'm like, oh, I'll use both to be less indecisive. And then I'm like, oh, I just spent way too much time doing this. And now I'm like not into it anymore.
I wonder if that exists for anybody. Like, I wonder if there's a person that makes something and they're like, it's done and I love it forever. And then they love it for like years and years until they die or something.
Yeah.
But
Probably not.
What?
I don't, yeah. I feel like every musician probably feels the same way where it's like, there's always more you could do, or like, what if I added this thing, or I don't know.
Yeah, like freaking George Lucas did that with the first Star Wars movies. He like put them out and then he's like, I actually want to change it. And then he went back in and added a bunch of weird like CGI stuff.
Really? Huh.
Yeah, and you're like, bro, like leave it alone. We like it. But no, yeah, I totally resonate with that. And it makes me wonder like if there is a person that exists like that, like what is it because you make something that is so lovely that you love it forever, or is it just like your relationship with it and how you go about that makes you feel okay with it now that it's out there?
Yeah. And I feel like there's probably a lot of folks who have just like maybe certain songs like that where they're like, oh, like it just feels right, not even that it's complete, because you could always add more to anything. Yeah. That's just like the life of an artist. But to be like, oh, like, yeah, because it has either like sentimental value or this like one riff right here I really like, and that's what's keeping me tied to like finishing this song. Like I think that's what gets it done for a lot of people. And maybe it's because like I think I'm figuring out that I might not be able to work by myself in order to make
that's valid
that I would want to put out, unless it's just like a video of me like playing live, that like I'd much rather be working with at least one other person if I were to record something, because you're your own worst critic. And unless you practice putting out music and feel good about like Claire's been putting out music since we were in high school.
I've been slacking. I need to
slacking. No way.
I just have a lot of songs that I've been working on for a long time now. That I have one song in particular that I feel really good about. I think it'll be dope, but I just like cannot for the life of me be happy with the vocal part. And I've probably recorded the vocal part like at least 10 times now. And I think at this point, I just need to accept that I'm never going to be happy with it. And I just need to like be done, put it out, get it out of there. But it's just so hard to like, yeah, it's so hard to be done and like live with imperfections, I think.
Yeah. My I'm excited to hear that song. When you put it out. And two, like I was talking to my friend the other day about something similar, and it was kind of like literally like just put it out. Like it's a vibe, it's a moment, and it's valid the way that it is.
Yeah.
And he was like, and we're all gonna incinerate into the sun, which is like, I don't know if you have to go that far, but like literally, like, yeah, you put it out, there's always more things you can do, more things you can add, more things you can change. But like the fact that it has been created and it's a moment and it wasn't there before is like, that itself makes it valid and real. And I feel like, and I was like, that's
like that.
I know, right? It's just like, yeah. Like, what is this weird
right now?
what, yeah, like what is this like weird imaginary standards that we're trying to meet? Like the fact that we're doing it and it's created and it wasn't there before is like, that's it. Like that's the moment.
I think it's the comparison too to like there's obviously so much good music out there. Literally, I'll listen to SZA and I'm like, how dare you make this expectation nobody can reach. But then I'm like, like you're probably doing what everyone else is doing and like fucking around, and just like half the song she has, she was like, I just sang on top of this, and it's not, the melody's not consistent in any way, and it's different every time. But in that moment when I was doing that, that's what I decided to sing. The only times that I feel like I've created successful songs, not that I've put anything out yet because of this, is when I just like do it all like in like an hour.
Yeah.
Like at that moment, I like write a whole song, but then as soon as I finish it and I'm like, yeah, that's great. And then I'm like, maybe I should put that out. And then I go back to it and then I'm like, bleh.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, that sucks. I like that. Why am I saying blah now? Because now I'm thinking about all the stuff I want to change about it, when it's like at that moment it was fine. Or it was good and I was vibing with it. So that makes sense. I like that.
Also, like your mindset and your perspective is different. It'll be different from what it is now than what it is like an hour from now, or just like, I don't know, because I totally feel that too. Sometimes I'll totally be vibing and be like, this is dope, I love this, and then you feel some kind of way about yourself and what you're making. And I feel like that's the moment, you know what I mean, like that, how you feel. And then yeah, that feeling definitely isn't going to last forever, and then that in turn will change how you feel about what you made.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I feel like it's the same kind of vibe of if you're standing on a cliff, like about to jump into water, if you just don't think about it and just jump immediately, you save yourself so much stress and anxiety. But it's like the longer you stand up there and wait and think about it, it kind of perpetuates the cycle, and like the longer it takes. And I feel like, at least with this one song I've been working on, and same with like the last album I put out, is like the more I stressed about it, the more time it would take. And if I just like not cared as much to begin with, I probably could have been done with it like months before. Like, I just feel like it's so easy to like criticize and overanalyze when you should just follow your friend's advice and just vibe as like, this is the moment, this is what I created at this one time. And even if it's not perfect, it's something that I made, which is cool.
Yeah.
That's like low-key how I feel about the albums that I put out. Literally, I don't remember. Yeah, the process literally was like, I had a bunch of demos and then I was like, put them all in a playlist, like that could be an album. And then I was like, how do I put it on Spotify? Like, and then I'm like, I'm gonna do it now because I have this weird momentum. And then I did it, and it's like, all right, we did that.
And then once it's out there, it's like, all right, it's out there.
Out there. Yeah. And I feel different ways about it every day, but yeah, I think just like doing it, putting it out there, it's like, that was the vibe back then.
I'm already like, this conversation is just making me really hyped up and motivated to like
Yeah.
get it done.
Makes me feel better about that stuff too. I've never put any music out. Well, I put out one thing once, and it was like a video of me like playing in a bathroom. So
Wait, but you have stuff on your computer, or you have
I
demos?
do, I do have stuff. It's all like stuff I've just like recorded on voice memos, which honestly, voice memos makes pretty good.
It's a vibe.
It's a vibe.
It's good. Ow, Luther.
iPhone, that's a tool.
Ah,
Little kitty.
he's in his biting time right now, but he was messing with me.
And then do you want to talk a little bit about the video you made and sent us, and like how you created that sound, and maybe like talk about like the live performance aspect too, because I think it's really impressive that you can just like do it all and like keep it in time and focused. And
Oh, thank you. It is one of the songs that was I created like a live version of a single that I put out, and I mostly just pitched it and slowed it down in Ableton,
cool.
and also load my 303 up with different samples. And then so I'm like playing this like stripped down backing track on Ableton, and then also like triggering different samples on the 303. And yeah, also like adjusting EQ and stuff on the my personal mixer, just to like make different parts sound more interesting. But yeah, it's like a super slowed down ambient version of a song that I already put out, and I'm enjoying experimenting with that.
Cool.
Yeah.
Have you done a lot of like either live performances or just playing? Like, how have you been navigating transferring your music into like a live space?
It was really difficult at first. When I was like, all right, I want to play shows now. I was like, all right, how do I do this? Because the songs I made, I like produced on my computer, and I'm like, well, then how do I make this to like a live performance? And then that's when I realized that I'm like, oh, I have to like make live versions of my songs, which sort of is like making the song again, which was like really stressful at first. And like, you're telling me I have to like strip down all of the different parts of the song, like all the different tracks, and then somehow play it live and then still make it sound good, or make it sound decent. And that was really stressful at first. But then I think that I like took the perspective of like, oh, well, like it's okay if like a live performance is different from the recording. Like some people really go to concerts and like, they sounded like the album, but it's like, okay, but a live show is also a performance. And I think I personally find value when like a live version sounds different than the album. So I think honestly now, instead of like, at first it stressed me out, but I'm like, now it's actually really like fun that I can kind of like revisit these songs and make them into something new. And then that forces me to try to like reimagine and recreate what these songs could sound like. But yeah, but transferring it to a live setup, yeah, was at first really stressful, but now every time I'm like, every show is kind of different. Because I would try to like reuse similar sets, but I'm like, not every show is going to be the same. The crowd will be different, the venue will be different, the vibe will be different. So yeah, it is like creating kind of like a new experience every time.
Which is so cool.
Yeah, which kind of like forces me to change and evolve and challenge myself and discover how I can be different and be better. So yeah, like this next show, I'm gonna play a show on March 3rd at Adobe Books with some friends, and I'm like, I want to make this different. Like I want to do like a more ambient experimental set. And like, what is that gonna look like?
But do you want to give a shout out to where people can listen to your music?
Yes, you can listen to NIKI FM literally anywhere, on Spotify, on Bandcamp, on
Woohoo. Yeah, usually we end the show just by having the person shout out the slap shack and like give themselves a little slap. So
and then slap myself?
And then say slap.
Okay. I'm NIKI FM. This is the Slap Shack.
Yeah. Yeah, that was good.
Was it? Come on in the shack. We make some slaps. Come to the Slap Shack. We'll feature your music. Come on in the shack. We make some slaps. Get your slaps on the slap shouldn't today. Slap Shack.